I stared at the empty chairs where my children, Emma and Lucas, should have been sitting. The dining room in my mother's New Jersey home was beautifully decorated for her birthday celebration, and yet, something felt terribly wrong. "Mom, I don't understand," I said slowly, my voice filled with confusion. "You told me this was a grown UPS-only party. That's why I didn't bring Emma and Lucas." Before she could answer, the front door opened. My brother, Michael, walked in with his wife and their 3 children, all dressed in their best outfits, carrying neatly wrapped presents. My mother's face lit up with joy. She rushed over to them, her arms wide open, ready to embrace her grandchildren. "Grammy," they squealed, running into her arms. She kissed each of them and smiled warmly, her happiness radiating through the room. I felt my stomach sink. My own children were at home, left behind with a babysitter because I had followed my mother's request. Yet, here were Michael's kids, welcomed with open arms, celebrated as if they belonged. My mother finally turned toward me and must have noticed the look on my face. She sighed and gave me a small smile, as if she were explaining something simple to a child. "Oh, Carmela," she said gently, "Michael's kids are different. They're special. I'm sure you understand." I didn't understand, not at all. Emma was 8 years old, full of curiosity and kindness, always eager to learn something new. Lucas, my 6-year-old, had boundless energy and the most infectious laugh. They were just as special as their cousins, just as deserving of their grandmother's love and attention. I had spent the morning wiping away their tears, trying to explain why they couldn't come to Grammy's party. They had dressed up anyway, hopeful that maybe, just maybe, there had been a mistake and they would be allowed to go. But I had honored my mother's wishes, not realizing the cruel double standard I was about to witness. My brother smirked as he adjusted his tie, looking at me with mild amusement. "Come on, sis," he said, "you know your kids can be a handful. This way, everyone can enjoy themselves." A handful. Because Emma sometimes felt overwhelmed in large crowds, because Lucas had trouble sitting still and loved to express himself through movement. Those weren't flaws, they were part of what made my children uniquely wonderful, but to my mother and brother, they were reasons to keep them at a distance. I looked around the room. The walls were decorated with family pictures, Michael's kids laughing in perfectly framed portraits. My own children only appeared in group shots, positioned at the edges, as if they were barely part of the family at all. Something inside me shifted. I had made excuses for my mother's behavior for years, always trying to protect my children from feeling the sting of exclusion, but no more. I stood up from the dining table, my untouched plate in front of me. "Where are you going?" my mother asked distractedly, already turning her attention back to Michael's youngest, who was showing her a colorful drawing. I picked up my purse, my heart pounding. "I'm going to spend the evening with my children," I said firmly. "We should all be where we're truly appreciated." Without waiting for a response, I walked out the door and into the crisp evening air. As I got into my car, I pulled out my phone, scrolling through my contacts. Then I found the name, Antonio DeMarco, Culinary Institute. Tony and I had been friends in high school. He had gone on to become one of the most well-known chefs in New Jersey. His restaurant, Giardino, always packed with eager customers. My kids had watched his cooking videos online, begging me to take them there one day. Taking a deep breath, I pressed call. The phone rang twice before I heard a familiar voice on the other end. "Tony, it's Carmela Martinez from Ridgewood High." "Carmela? Oh wow, it's been years, how are you?" His warm voice made my eyes sting with unexpected tears. "I'm okay. Listen, I have a strange request. Are you at the restaurant tonight?" I explained the situation as calmly as I could. Tony listened carefully, then chuckled. "You know what? Bring them over right now. I have the perfect idea." By the time I arrived home, Emma and Lucas were sitting with their babysitter, trying to play a board game but clearly still upset. Emma's long dark hair was pulled back in a braid, one she had done herself, hoping against hope that Grammy would change her mind. "Mom," Lucas jumped up as soon as he saw me. "You're back early. Did Grammy miss us?" I forced a smile, pushing aside my lingering sadness. "How would you two like to go on an adventure?" Emma looked at me warily. "What kind of adventure?" I pulled out my phone and showed them a cooking video of Tony. "How would you like to meet this chef and maybe help him make something special in his kitchen?" Their eyes lit up with excitement. "Really?" they gasped in unison. "Really? Sometimes, when people don't appreciate you, you create your own joy elsewhere." The lights of downtown Montclair sparkled as we pulled up to Giardino. The restaurant glowed warmly, the smell of fresh herbs and garlic filling the air. Through the window, we saw customers enjoying their meals, laughter and conversation flowing through the space. Tony was waiting at the door, his chef's whites crisp and clean despite the dinner rush. He grinned when he saw us, the Martinez family. Come in, come in. He knelt to Emma and Lucas's level. I hear you two are interested in cooking. Lucas beamed. I can make scrambled eggs all by myself. Emma, slightly shy, opened her notebook. I've been learning about herbs. I have a little garden on our windowsill. Tony's eyes widened as he flipped through her careful notes. This is incredible. I started just like you, growing herbs in my mom's kitchen when I was your age. He led us to a special table with a view of the bustling open kitchen. First, we'll have a proper dinner. Then, if you're up for it, we can create something special for dessert. He winked at them. I could use some expert help with my famous tiramisu. Can we really help? Emma whispered, her earlier sadness completely forgotten. Of course, every great chef starts somewhere, and my kitchen welcomes all kinds of special talent. The way Tony said special felt different from how my mother had used it. She used it to exclude. He used it to celebrate what made each person unique. As I watched my children's faces light up, the pain from earlier melted away. Sometimes, rejection isn't the end of the story, it's just the push you need to find where you truly belong. Tony stood in the kitchen, his face glowing with excitement as he looked around at the children who had gathered. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, he said with a warm smile, teaching kids who truly love food, no matter their learning style or energy level. Everyone belongs in the kitchen. His words settled deep in my heart. They reminded me of all the times my mother had excluded my children from family gatherings because they didn't behave the way she expected. She believed children should be quiet, reserved, and well-mannered at all times. But here, in this kitchen, Lucas's boundless energy was an asset rather than a problem, and Emma's careful attention to detail was recognized as a gift rather than as being overly serious. Maria, one of the restaurant's staff members, turned to me with an eager smile. Of course, you can share the photos, I said, nodding, and please, tell me more about this cooking program. While our homemade tiramisu chilled in the refrigerator, Tony led the children outside to the restaurant's rooftop herb garden. The air was crisp, and the New Jersey skyline sparkled in the distance. Emma, her eyes lighting up with excitement, eagerly pointed out different plants, explaining their uses. Lucas, in his usual animated way, leaned down to smell each herb, making dramatic declarations about which dishes they would taste best in. As I watched them, my phone began buzzing non-stop. Curious, I glanced at the screen. The photos of our evening were spreading quickly through social media, drawing comments from parents all over our community. This is amazing. My son would love this. He struggles in traditional classrooms but comes alive in the kitchen. Finally, a program that understands different learning styles. How can I sign up? Even my mother's friends were commenting, their words layered with meaning. Wonderful to see children being appreciated for their unique gifts. Some people could learn a lesson from this. Tony walked over and peered at my phone. You know, he said, his voice thoughtful, I struggled in school as a kid. I was always restless, always asking too many questions. Cooking saved me. It turned my energy into something positive. That's exactly what I want to create here, a place where kids like me, like your children, can thrive. He glanced back at Emma and Lucas, who were still deep in their herb discovery. Your children are incredible. Emma has a sophisticated understanding of flavors, and Lucas's enthusiasm is exactly what every kitchen needs. Would they be interested in joining our first official weekend class? Not just as students, Emma could help mentor younger kids about herbs, and Lucas has a natural gift for demonstrating cooking techniques. Before I could answer, my phone lit up with an incoming call from Michael. I declined it without hesitation. This moment, watching my children be fully themselves in a place that embraced them, was far more important than whatever he or my mother had to say. As we returned to the kitchen, our tiramisu had set perfectly. Tony guided the kids through the final steps, showing Emma how to achieve the perfect dusting of cocoa powder while Lucas, delighted, created elegant chocolate curls for garnish. The kitchen staff gathered around, admiring their work. These look professional, Tony announced, snapping more photos. Would you mind if we added these to our dessert menu? We could call them Emma and Lucas's Junior Chef Tiramisu, with a portion of the proceeds funding scholarships for our weekend cooking program. The kids' eyes went wide with disbelief. Our names on the real menu? Emma whispered. Absolutely, Tony grinned. Every great chef deserves recognition for their work. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was a message from my Aunt Diana. Just saw the photos. The kids look so happy and confident. Your mother is upset that everyone keeps talking about their cooking adventure instead of her party. Maybe this will teach her something about inclusion. Another message popped up from my cousin James. Michael's kids are throwing tantrums because they want to cook at the fancy restaurant too. Karma is real. Ah. I smiled and slipped my phone into my pocket. My focus was here, in this kitchen, with my children. The staff had set up a special tasting session for the kids, complete with a mini judges panel that offered professional feedback. Lucas beamed as they praised his chocolate work, and Emma's eyes shone as they complimented her meticulous layering technique. Tony leaned in close. I'm starting a charity foundation to make these cooking programs accessible to all kids. Would you and the children like to be on the advisory board? We need people who understand the importance of creating inclusive spaces. Before I could reply, Maria rushed over, her tablet in hand. The photos have gone viral in the local foodie community. Several restaurants want to start similar programs. Look at these comments. Finally, someone recognizing that all children have gifts. This is what true family support looks like. I can't wait to bring my 2 energetic sons to these classes. But the best comment came from an unexpected source, Mrs. Peterson, my mother's oldest friend. These children are absolutely precious and talented. Some grandmothers don't know what they're missing. Tony gathered everyone for a final photo, Emma and Lucas in their junior chef aprons, proudly holding their tiramisu, surrounded by the supportive kitchen staff. It was everything a family picture should be: real smiles, relaxed poses, and pure joy. Mom, Emma asked as Tony helped her carefully wrap their tiramisu for the trip home, can we do this every year instead of Grammy's party? Even better, Tony interjected with a wink. How about every weekend? Our junior chef program runs every Sunday morning, perfect for a new family tradition. Looking at my children's glowing faces, I knew we had found something far more valuable than acceptance at my mother's exclusive gatherings. We had found our own community, our own traditions, and a place where we belonged. The next morning, the scent of fresh coffee filled our kitchen as Emma and Lucas proudly served their tiramisu to Jessica, our babysitter. Mrs. Martinez, Jessica said after taking a bite, this is amazing. I saw the photos. Everyone at my college is talking about Giardino's new kids program. They say it's going to change how restaurants view children's cooking classes. My phone buzzed again, 3 missed calls and 5 unread messages from my mother. I ignored them and turned back to my children. Emma was preparing handouts for her first herb workshop, while Lucas practiced piping whipped cream onto morning waffles. Mom, Emma said thoughtfully, I was sad about missing Grammy's party, but I think we found something better. It feels like we're making our own special thing. Lucas nodded, a dot of whipped cream on his nose. Yeah, and Chef Tony says I can help teach the little kids how to count ingredients. He says my energy makes math more fun. A month later, Giardino's first junior chef weekend program launched, featuring Emma and Lucas as young mentors. The local newspaper covered the event, with a photo of my children teaching others. My mother finally stopped calling after I sent her a copy of the article with a simple note: we found where we belong.